After 20 years of B2B sales experience and making over 50,000 cold calls, one thing has become crystal clear. Most people are doing cold calling completely wrong. I've trained hundreds of sales reps, managed remote teams, and created a sales process that's generated over £175 million in revenue. And in this video, I'm going to reveal everything that I've learned about cold calling over the 20 years of experience. This isn't your basic video that you'll get from sales trainers who've not made a cold call in the last 10 years. I'm going to show you exactly why cold calls fail, the psychology behind what actually works, and the proven framework that just this week generated £38,000 worth of pipeline in less than 6 hours. Let's dive in. The biggest mistake that most people make when it comes down to cold calling is that they think it's a numbers game. And so many people say, oh, you just need to hit the phone. That's absolute rubbish. If you apply this framework in this way, you'll be able to make 1/10 of the calls than you would do normally because you're focusing on the things that will actually move a person to that next step. It's not about just hitting the numbers these days and just hoping that someone's going to be looking for your exact product or service just at the time you called. It's just unrealistic. It's not going to work. It's about understanding what problems your prospects are facing and then talking to them in a way that's going to shine a light on potential problems and just hint that you might be able to solve them. It's all about generating curiosity and intrigue at this stage of a cold call. So step one is the introduction. Now there's loads of videos on YouTube all talking about the best opener of all time. The key is your tonality and sounding detached from the outcome. My favorite introduction, and I've used this for years, and it converts probably 90% of the people that pick up the phone into a conversation, is this. Hi, is that Dave? Dave, it's Joe calling from Revitech. Look, we've not spoken before. I've called you with something specific in mind. Can I let you know what it is? And then you can let me know if it makes sense to have a conversation. That's it. No bells and whistles, no fancy techniques. It just works. The reason is it generates curiosity. I've called you with something specific in mind, but also we mix this with a permission-based opener. You can tell me if it makes sense to have a conversation, and that lets the prospect feel in control and safe and continue the conversation. Next is about building credibility. You want to mention at this stage if you've spoken to someone else in their industry or someone else in their organization. You also want to mention social proof of any relevant case studies. Don't drop them in just for the sake. And my favorite, which is talk about problems that you understand that person is probably undergoing at the moment, i.e. a sales director who's in charge of a team that is growing quickly is going to have very specific problems about scalability, growth, managing his team, training, onboarding. So knowing your prospect, knowing what position they're in, and knowing what problems they're likely to be experiencing is going to give you a really good chance of building credibility and trust with your prospect. So step one is the introduction, and this is the first 20 seconds of the cold call. It's the most important bit because if you can't get past this, then you're not going to get any conversations. Most people who fail at cold calling fail because they can't get into a conversation, and it's the introduction that sucks. Step two is about building credibility. So you've generated some curiosity in the intro. Now it's about the prospects thinking, well, why should I stay on this call? What is in it for me? So you want to try and build some credibility, either by showing the reason why you're speaking, that you've done your research, that you've spoken to someone in their organization, or you have an understanding of what problems they might be facing because you're familiar with the industry. And next is the discovery framework. So I call this bit the wedge, and it's basically you start asking questions and they are focused around the problems that you think that the prospect is experiencing. So list 3 problems that a prospect might be experiencing. So you can say, look, contacting sales directors, 3 problems that normally indicate they might get use out of our services are: 1, your new business is reliant on 1 or 2 top performers in your sales team. 2, you're finding that there's a huge amount of technology out there, you don't know which is going to move the needle. Or 3, or as a senior leader in the team, you keep getting dragged into the sales process. Those are 3 problems that most sales directors, especially of fast growing companies, will be experiencing in some form. So me asking about that problems means that if I can get them to open up and to start talking about the problems, I'm going to be in a really good position. Next is discovery, and that is once we've focused in on an area or problem that that prospect is experiencing, we want to open that up and find out about the impact, what it means for their business, what they've tried to solve that problem. And this is where the real value of the conversation goes. Key things to remember are when you're talking about problems, you want to be curious at all stage. So you don't have to sell anything, you just want to explore the impact of this problem. And how that might sound is as follows. Yeah, okay, so I guess one of the problems that we're experiencing is we're just not getting in front of enough of the right prospects. Ah, okay, talk me through that. Okay, so what else have you tried? Okay, and what does that mean? So if you didn't change anything and kept everything exactly as the same, would that mean you're doing enough to hit your targets next year? And we're wanting to ask questions that focus around the impact of the problem, what happens if they don't do anything, i.e. the cost of inaction, and then what they have tried previously to solve that problem, to try and test if they're motivated to change. So we've asked about the problem, and now we are exploring the impact of that problem and what it costs for them not to do anything about it. And the last bit of the question is, once we've generated curiosity in the introduction, we've built some credibility after that, we're starting to talk about problems and we've explored the impact of these problems. The next step is to sell the next yes. You don't have to sell your product or service, you just have to sell the next yes. In my situation, for my sales, it's more about a discovery call or an initial consultation. And all we do at this section is we take this prospect to a hypothetical world where it's very easy to say yes to the next step. And it goes something like this. Speaking to more prospects is a problem at the moment, Mr. Prospect. And at the moment you've tried a few things, but at the moment you need to change something before you get to hit your targets next year. Hypothetically, if I could show you a way that other clients have been able to get in front of the right people, supercharge what their existing reps are doing and convert more prospects, which makes it easier to hit their targets. If I could walk you through how other clients have been able to do that, would you have any objections in exploring it a little bit further? All we're saying is, we're not saying we can help you, we can do this, let's go. You're saying hypothetically, if I could show you a solution to the problem you've just told me you're experiencing and could show you how others have been able to solve that problem, would you have any objection to exploring? So we're saying hypothetically, if we could show you the solution to your problem, which is a big benefit to the customer, we then put in a small ask. So it's a big benefit and then a small ask. Hypothetically, if we could show you how to solve this big problem, which is preventing you hitting your targets, we could walk you through exactly how others have been able to do it. Would you have any objections in a quick call where we could go through in more detail about what you're currently doing about your outbound and then putting it together, and on the back of that we'll make a recommendation based on how you can solve that problem. So it's a big benefit, small ask, and you're making it clear that there's benefit to the prospect of the next stage. No one wants to get on the discovery call, no one wants to get on a demo that has no interest to them, but they will go to that next stage if there's benefit to them. So it's about, if I can show you how to solve this problem, come to the next call, we'll do an initial consultation. On the back of that call, I'll give you a recommendation. And at that point, it's up to you if you want to go further or not. So again, you're showing that you're detached from the outcome. And that's it. That's a framework that I've used to train hundreds of cold callers, enable a lot of them go from zero to generating thousands of pounds in commission within a matter of months. But don't forget, sales is like a language. You have to practice it. So the best way to get better isn't by watching all these videos until you feel that you've memorized them all. It's about taking what you've learned today and then implementing it quickly so you can start to see the result. If you want to dive deeper into how you can implement techniques like this into your organization and how you can use technology now to boost some of the effectiveness of your sales team, then click the link in the description. I'm offering free consultation for companies that are looking to grow their outbound revenue, and on the back of that, the consultation again will give you a recommendation on how you can best improve what your sales team are doing. But regardless, I hope you got value out of this video. We're going to be posting more about different ways to generate meetings with your ideal prospects. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.